Tim, what do you make, though, in terms of what this does to U.S. China relations?
Well, the response just now from China is also one that's escalating, as opposed to trying to say, hey, this was a mistake. It actually just kind of slipped into your airspace. I'm so sorry. And that one in Latin America, by the way, which we're calling an unmanned warship. Airship, not warship. Warship would be a bigger problem. But, I mean, the point is that I think there has been an escalation of both sides. Clearly, there was a planned meeting between the two countries where you were going to have top-level a meeting discussing at a time when tensions have been very, very chilly. And I think this is important. We're going to talk about the market impact, but I think in terms of, the bilateral, negotiations of what's going on here, Latin American countries aren't saying anything because a lot of these countries are getting Chinese money. They're getting money for infrastructure. They're actually, there's a direct line in terms of build out on resources. So I think that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, I'd just say that it's kind of a dumb story. We spent a lot of time thinking about this thing over the last, week or so. And we know how extensive the spy satellite network is, and I'm sure it has better technology than this balloon. So at the end of the day, I suspect that we'll be looking back, and this was kind of like, remember Balloon Boy? Remember about 15 years ago? Remember that kid who was supposedly flying? Yeah, you remember that?
He was fake.
I think this will be a non-story. The one thing I'd be focused on is the fact that crude oil is about to make a new 52-week low. You see copper's come off. A lot of those trades that are associated with the China reflation trade have kind of lost some steam here a little bit, And so to me, I think there was a lot of excitement in the markets last month, global markets, about what the pivot from zero COVID meant. And I think they're kind of coming undone a little bit right now.
I hope it's a nothing story. Yeah. But right now, I feel like that there are a lot of question marks, especially if Blinken canceling his visit.
The craziest thing is the China response. I mean, listen, if you have a limb leaning over your neighbor's fence line, they're allowed to cut the limb off. It's our airspace. And you just ask them, if our balloon had gone above China, what do you think they would have done? Waved at it? No, they would have shot it down too, period. All right? Silly response from China. But the point that you're making is this was the biggest ricochet of all things. Hang Seng Tech off the October low. And so is it a function of the balloon, or is it the fact that this was the most overbought area of the market?
I don't think they're related at all. Sorry, Karen, get in there, because I've got a few
Tim doesn't think they're related at all.
They're not.
I don't think they're related at all.
No, I think it's sort of, I think this will sort of blow over, no pun intended. Who knows how many balloons they've had, nor, or that we have. But I think that it's interesting, and, the Biden administration has a little bit of a chance for some bipartisan, I don't know, rhetoric, kind of.
Like everybody can gang up on China.
Everybody can gang up on China, although they'll say he should have shut it down sooner or whatever. But it's a little bit of chance for that. I think clearly it heightens tensions. I keep coming back to the idea of TikTok. And, whether in part of that bipartisan, China rhetoric, TikTok gets caught up in it, which obviously would be good for Meta. That's not a world politics issue, but I do own Meta.
Well, it sort of stirs up this notion that China is spying on us in many ways, and TikTok is one of those ways. And so, therefore, shouldn't we go and ban TikTok? And so the rallying cry gets a lot easier after the spy balloon.
Well, this is the conversation we have on the show. No one cares about our politics. No one turns into fast money to learn about global espionage. And so my point would be, look, the dollar's rallied 3.5% in the last week and a half, and EM's down 6%. This has nothing to do with China. EM is correlated very highly to the dollar. Look at the move higher in global interest rates. The 10-year went from 3.33 to 3.63, and also EM had significantly outperformed. I ultimately think this is a chance to reload, but the politics that are worth trading around this also include, the reason Alibaba had such a great run was because I think they removed a lot of the political pressure on the company. Ant Financial was able to raise capital. Jack Ma has been seen again. These are the reasons why, as an investor, you boil this down into a matrix for investing. And in EM, China's 45% of the index. So I do think you have to have your China right to get EM right. But I think a lot of this is dollar. I think it's a big move. And I think the politics are partly around the edges, which would make investors say, I don't need to own EM right here.